I'm not really dreaming of a house. I just want a roof over my head. I like the idea of living with myself because I'll have loads of peace. Well, when I'm 16, I want to move back with my family if they let me. And then after that, I want my starter flat, like if they're willing to give me one.
I would like to buy my own house. I don't want to get given like a house from the department because I want to be in control. What I'm looking forward to is having my own rules and not having to go by anybody else's rules, and then everybody else has to go by my rules. I think the difficulties when I move in by myself is the loneliness. That's going to be hard because I'm quite a social person. I like people around me, and I think the taxis and like knowing how to change the gas meter and stuff like that's going to be really hard.
Supported accommodation is where I had my own flat, but it was a courtyard, and across the courtyard there was a house, and that's where the staff was. There was a staff member on from 10 in the morning to 6, and then from 10 at night to 6 in the morning. It was quite good. The night staff members always used to come over and have a chat with you, and they used to come and do flat checks once a week to make sure you were keeping your house clean. And I didn't want to stay there very long because there was a lot of rules. You were only allowed 2 visitors at once, and they had to leave by 11 at night. And you could only have a person stay over once, and you could only stay out twice. And the time that I was there, the flat across from me had 4 different people in it because they all had been told to leave. They were kicked out for not listening to the rules. One of them had people climbing in his window, and to get to his window they were walking past my window, and I was getting woken up during the night with them all shouting and screaming and that, and I actually thought I was going to die in night. The noise was that bad.
I chose to leave foster care when I was 17, and when I left I stayed with my brother for 2 months, and then after that I was put into some sort of like supported flat, so I had to pay £20 a week and the council would pay my rent for me, but that fell through because they put me in a place that was residented with old people, and basically the old people didn't like having a young person there, and I was 17 and I did kind of have a lot of parties and a lot of people up, but I don't think that was a good idea putting me in that place.
I was living in a mother and baby placement in Glasgow after I had my son. Then I moved back through to East Lothian after 4 months, and I got my own house, which was brilliant at the time. I really enjoyed it.
I've been living in my own flat in Musselburgh for nearly 2 years now, and I got put there when I left my supported accommodation that was also in Musselburgh, and I was there for a year, and then before that I was in foster care.
I started to notice problems with it when my wee one was about 6 months old, and then it's like got loads of problems with damp and mould and sewage water under the floors, and just I never really got much help with it for anybody. It was just horrendous for like just having a newborn as well. I was back and forward and in B&Bs, and I was in a B&B in the Pans for 2 weeks, and I had no heating in it when I had my baby there, and it was like teenagers in the room next to me, and they were in and out having parties, and it was just horrendous having to lock the wee one in the room where I ran through to make bottles, and it just wasn't clean, so I couldn't even like bath them there. The tumble dryer and washing machine didn't work. I wasn't allowed back in my house at this point because of all the like damage in it, so they says it was unsafe for me to be in. I had my keys took off me by the council, so I couldn't get in for my stuff, and I got put back in another 3-bedroom flat in Trinent, but that was like costing me so much. It was about £60 a week in gas and the same in electricity, which I just couldn't afford. There was also, I could only use 1 bedroom in the flat because the rest of it was filled with damp. Since I moved back into my house, there was an issue with the walls, and I was actually told that I was to strip all the wallpaper myself, and I didn't have a clue where to start with that, and I never even had like a steamer to take it off or scrapers to scrape it off or anything, and they'd given me a short period of time to do it and says that they basically weren't willing to help with it. I actually lifted my own floorboards because I was told by the neighbours there was water under it, and there was when I lifted them, so the council had to come back out. I was moved into a decant house for I was told at the time it would be 3 weeks. It turned out to actually be 9 months later that I got back into my house. I actually remember at one point that when I was being moved in and out of my house and there was issues with the sewage water under the floor, my carpets were all like mouldy and horrible, and they'd actually folded them up as they're rolling them, and my wee one was just crawling at this stage, and they'd actually says to me that they would just clean the carpets and put them back down. I was like, I'm not happy with that. I don't want the carpets back in my house. My son isn't crawling about on them. There'll be so many germs on them. He's like putting his hands in his mouth and things, and I just wasn't happy with that. And it actually took me going to my auntie coming and taking pictures of the carpets and stuff. She works in a lawyer's office, and getting it all done through her office and sending the pictures to the council for them actually to take it serious and actually buy me a new carpet.
I was offered a place in Haddington, but because of my job and the fact that I don't drive and all my friends are out here, like, I didn't think it would be fair for me to go and move and then have to spend my own money to come back down to Dunbar when I wrote on the housing application form that I only wanted to be situated in a Dunbar town or in Dunbar itself. It was important for me to be in Dunbar because I don't really have like much contact with my family, or I didn't at the time. And my friends are like my rock basically, like they're the thing that keeps me going. To be taken away from that, it would have been pretty catastrophic for me. I didn't have any access to like a washing machine at the B&B. I had a microwave to do my meals, and the door was unlocked, so anybody that could get access to the key could get into my room and do whatever they wanted to. I was told that I would be there for 2 weeks or something, and then those 2 weeks would pass, and then it'd be in a couple of months, and then it got to the end of September, and then it just every time I spoke to somebody else, I was told that I would be going into a different place, and it never happened. I was promised a flat that I never got, and eventually I've got this place, but it took so long. It was quite a long process. At the time, I think I would have preferred to have been put in some sort of sheltered housing or some sort of supported accommodation, because I didn't really feel like I had anything, like nobody supported me at the time, and I was a bit clueless when it came to application forms because I was 17 and I had no idea what I was doing. Basically had to go to the doctors, and I got my doctor, my actual GP, to write a letter to the head of social work and the head of housing. I had to get my counsellor to write to the head of social work and to the head of housing again, and I was going to go forward and write to my local MP, but I didn't because I was offered a flat before I got the opportunity to.
The challenges of having my own house are paying my bills, especially setting up direct debits and stuff like that. I found that quite hard. I didn't know how to do direct debits or anything at first.
When I got my own house, some of the difficulties were I was told I wasn't allowed anybody to stay overnight or anything, particularly my mum and my dad, because I think if I'd let them stay, I would have just had them there all the time. But I was told that I wasn't, so I felt quite lonely. I also found it quite difficult with paying like bills, and I didn't know really how to pay TV licence, and that you were to pay council tax and how much it all was, and it was explained to me that you had to pay these things but not exactly how to pay them and how much you needed to pay and when. And
keeping my garden clean's quite difficult because I've not got money to spend on getting a lawnmower or anything that I can use to keep it clean. So right now it's like a jungle.
My garden, that's quite a big issue, because the council actually told me that they were only responsible for doing the path for your gate to your front door round to your back door, which wasn't very good after it had been flooded with sewage water, because it just wasn't safe for my wee one, and he fell off the walls and hurt himself, and they put like walls in that had sharp edges, and it was just horrendous.
If I had the power, I think there should be a lot more like supported accommodation all over East Lothian. Like, I don't think there's enough I don't think it's acceptable to just stick us in a hotel room and forget about us. I think if we were all together, then we would all benefit from each other. We would be all in the same boat, and we could all support each other. And then it's surely cost effective to have us all in the one place instead of renting out loads of different rooms. Shared accommodation is what I would suggest. I think that would be a great idea, especially for people as young as me, because not everybody is as mature as what I am, and they don't want to be in their own flat, but if they're put in a shared accommodation, at least then they've got some sort of independence, but they've also got a little bit of help, bouncing off each other, supporting each other. I think people that have been care experienced, we're used to being like dotted about all the time, so it's all that uncertainty all the time. It's this sort of like insecurity that we have. We don't know where we're going to end up, and it's something that we've been faced with for basically all our lives. And to keep getting that thrown at us, it's not going to get us like guided into adulthood pretty well. I think we do need to have that we need to be told where we're going, and it needs to be accurate, and it can't just be false promises that it's been. I think it needs to change.
Before I moved in here, I was living in supported accommodation just at the back of the Brunton Theatre. And while I was living in there, I did my housing application form. You get to specify which areas you would prefer to live in. And my top area was Musselburgh. I was pretty lucky when I got offered a house in Musselburgh. And this was the first house I was offered, and the first house. I just took it right away. I think it's the look of it, because it looks pretty nice from the outside. And it's quite a big one-bedroomed flat, especially the living room. The living room's huge. I moved into here almost 2 years ago. When I first moved in, the carpets had been put down for me moving in, because when I came to visit it, there was nothing at all. Some of the colours were off the walls. I think there was a hole in one of the walls, but I can't remember which one. But by the time I'd moved in, they'd painted everything and they'd put carpets down, and they'd put in some furniture, like couches and a coffee table, a TV unit. There was a bed, some drawers. They gave me microwave, cooker, white goods, plates and cutlery and stuff like that. Because I'm a care leaver, I was offered my leaving care grant, so I used that to buy my own furniture and my own cutlery and stuff like that. So most of the other stuff I gave away.